Today on the show, strategy plus action equals purpose-driven profits.
This show is powered by Black Ginger. If you'd like to shorten your sales cycle and build a foundation that makes all of your other sales and marketing initiatives better, reach out to us on LinkedIn.
Welcome to another episode of Strategy in Action. We've got a special guest, an extra special guest, a brother, a friend, amigo, everything, man. Will Kopera, welcome to the show.
Amazing. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely,
Man,
glad to have you.
So glad to have you. Will is an incredible marketer. I've known him for, what are we going on, 10, 12, 15 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Had the pleasure of catching up with you here in Marbella, in Spain over the summer. That was a pleasant surprise. And yeah, man, we just want to get into what you're doing now. I know you've started a powerful marketing agency and you're helping a lot of people with that. You're still in Vegas, killing it there, and we just want to know what's going on with Will and catch us up, man.
Awesome. Well, once again, I'm really happy to be here, guys, and I love the energy. You guys are amazing. So happy to see you in Marbella. It was nice. It was really nice to catch up.
Yes, sir.
So I moved back to Vegas here not too long ago because I wanted to be back. I wanted to be back here and working on my marketing agency, where I'm pretty much helping people go digital. I think that is where the world is going. I think that's very important in this day and age to have a digital identity. And for me, it's so wholesome. I've always been in nightlife all my life, and I've realized that I've had so much passion for nightlife, but I think my deepest passion was always in the marketing aspect of it, of just being able to sell something that I believed in, of being able to see something and understand how to brand it, how to sell it, and how it would be received by the target audience. So the whole time I was in nightlife, and now that I'm in marketing, I've realized that it's something very wholesome to me, and I'm very happy waking up every day doing it. Like waking up at 6 a.m., turning on Instagram, and just like seeing like where the culture is going, because you can truly see like today's culture when you open Instagram, for example. You can see where the culture is going, and just to see that, and yeah, it's like I said, it's just very wholesome for me. So.
Man, I love that.
Yeah, give us that little background for the folks that don't know, haven't been filled in like I have. But I mean, this journey starts at South Africa, over to Vegas, over to Spain, back to Vegas. Yeah. Like, walk us through that really quickly, because it's a pretty amazing journey.
Thank you. So my father was always in hotels when I was young. So, I was definitely blessed to be able to, to travel around with him and to move around. I was, born in Madagascar, and then I moved around, Saudi Arabia, Asia, Europe. And then, I ended up being, for a majority of my time in my teens in Cape Town, South Africa. Such a beautiful, beautiful country, beautiful people, beautiful beaches. And then I, when the time was right, I found myself back in the United States, and found myself in Dallas, Texas, where I met this lovely gentleman. And hell yeah, very nice. And the rest is kind of history. But yeah, I found my passion in nightlife when I was in Cape Town. I remember, sneaking into clubs. I've always had a fake ID since I was like 14.
Not anymore, though. You got a real one now.
Yeah. I think I'm finally of age. But yeah, I remember, going with my friends and, partying at first and everything. And then I started DJing, and I just fell in love with, just fell in love with seeing people, and then just seeing, people go out and for just one night of bliss, they could just forget about all their issues and all their problems, and they could just enjoy themselves. And I think I fell in love with that. It was just so beautiful for me. And being a DJ, being able to orchestrate that and being able to, lead people's moods and all of that, I think, that put me even deeper in nightlife, of where I was like, I'm never fucking leaving.
Yeah. Because that's an insane level of energy. And then it's one thing to be in it, but then like pushing the buttons, right? And like creating and shifting that energy. That's gotta be amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. Yeah. And yeah, and then I, found myself in Dallas, Texas, where I, decided to, run venues and promote for venues. And, I realized I was very good at it. And, then I found my way to Vegas. So.
And I'm gonna throw this out there because I didn't find out until years later, and I told Jason this story. But this dude, you're being humble, Will. I call all my friends out. This is our show. I can talk about what I want to talk about. This guy was not even 21 years old and was one of the, if not the number one club and nightlife promotion business in the state. Mm-hmm. Not just in Dallas, but San Antonio, Austin, Houston, in the state. And so without even a real ID, he was running clubs and driving thousands of people to nightclubs. We even did a party that was fun. Wasn't an experience. Nobody died. That was a great thing, But man, tell us how that then gets you. You hit the pinnacle in Dallas.
And sorry to interrupt here too, but I want to know not just the age thing, because that is huge, right? Like not just getting by with it, but being that young age with this mindset. What were you doing that nobody else was doing to become the best in the state around there and be one of the absolute top? What was your mindset around this? How were you pulling that off?
So people, I love people. When I threw my first party in San Antonio, Texas. It was called Stereo Love, and I remember it was at the first club that I promoted at Club Rio in San Antonio, Texas. They were having a bit of financial difficulties at first, and I was coming in, and I remember I had this little South African fake ID, and I came in and I was like, just give me one night, any night. I know you guys are busy on the weekends. Give me a Thursday night, and let me just pack it. So I convinced them to do that, and I called that party Stereo Love. First of all, I involved everybody. Everybody who was somebody on college campus, I got them into it. I sold them on this great idea of this sick party that we could throw together. And, I would do marketing things, like, for example, my tickets. My tickets were these little rectangle tickets that were only that were see-through, and you could only see them when you would put them, against sunlight, for example. And, just cool, branding things like that, and just, really selling the party. Next thing you knew, we had the biggest party that club's seen in a while. We had a line of people that couldn't get in, 12:30, 1 a.m. in Texas, which is impossible to do.
Yeah.
And all these, all these broke college kids were coming in and really sucking it up and paying $60 a ticket just to get in, and inside, there was no big DJ or anything. There was just, a local DJ. But it's all about really selling a dream and selling a vision, and really putting into people's minds that this isn't just a party. This is a revolution. We could do something crazy together. And next thing you knew, this was on the news. It was on, on the radios, on the radio shows and everything, and on the radio stations. And and then I turned that into a weekly. And for a long time, we had the biggest weekly in Texas by far. We started bringing in big shows. We did Excision, for example, as a show. And it was just a phenomenal time.
Man, and I just see such a big connection between you being able to bring people together with that one unified vision and what you're doing for clients now as well by using that same experience to create that for their products, for their services. How did you basically translate that over into what you're doing now in the digital marketing space?
I think it comes back to people and the ability to spot trends. Like I listen a lot. When I'm online, I spend all day on social media because I just, I enjoy seeing what people talk about, what they want, and where the general culture of the world is at the moment. So it's understanding your customer, and it's understanding, what the end goal is. For example, I see a lot of marketing companies that would, take businesses and they would just take their money and then put into ads, et cetera, et cetera. But it doesn't work that way. It's you have to curate everything that you do. If you can't just put money in ads, like you have to understand what your end customer is. Once you understand what your end customer is, then you start curating your ads and you start curating your marketing towards these people. So I think that's really important to understand people. So yeah.
I love it, man. That's so true. So take us to, after Texas, you killed it in Texas, and you wanted to, and we've had this discussion, but you wanted to challenge yourself again. And that's one of the things I love about just watching you over the years, is that you are not afraid to challenge yourself and to do something super difficult. So you wanted to go to Las Vegas and play against the big boys. You dominated Texas. You said, let's go to Vegas and see if I can recreate the same success in the biggest city in the world for nightlife. I know what happened, but you tell us what happened. Migos, Cardi B, Tyga. I mean, I can go down the list, but you tell us who.
So, truth be told, how this all started was, in Texas, I was very young, and that it got to a point where money was coming in quick, and just everything was starting to get a little too easy. And I've realized, throughout the years, that when things start going that way, that's when you need to change. So, at that point, truth be told, I overextended and I failed. I had a big failure on my last concert. It kind of put me in a little wheel of where I didn't want to be in nightlife anymore. I jumped into telecoms because I thought that this was the end of an era for me, and whatever it was. So I took a year off and moved to Dallas and jumped into telecoms. Where I was like, I went from nightlife to selling cell phone towers, to and recruiting tower guys to build these cell phone towers and everything. And it was really interesting, but and I did well, but I remember waking up every day unfulfilled, not very happy, and it just didn't feel like me. So one day I had a huge epiphany, literally one day to the next. I've done this a couple of times in my life. I went into, after work, I walked into my apartment and I just started throwing things in the trash, like my bed, my mattress, my chair, my TV, like everything. I didn't even want to sell it. I was like, fuck this, I'm out. And just, and then the next day, I started just, driving towards Vegas. I was like, this is, I'm going to get into nightlife, and I want to see what the best in nightlife look like. I want to see what the mecca of nightlife looks like, and what, the best people look like. How good are they really? And, am I really even going to be able to compete with them? So I've always had this saying is, if you think you're the best at something, you'll never truly know how good you are until you compete against the best. So next thing you knew, I remember I was staying with a friend in Phoenix, Arizona, the next day driving, towards Vegas. It was Super Bowl weekend in 2015. And I had nowhere to go in Vegas, man. Like, I had no idea what I was doing. I just knew that, like, I had a little bit of money. I could sleep in my car, and I was just going to interview everywhere. So I would sit outside of orientations. I mean, the Vegas clubs, they have thousands of people like lining up to work over there. I was sitting outside, literally all day in a suit, trying to hopefully meet somebody in order to talk to them and get a job. So next thing you knew, I was, offered a job in 2 different places. I decided to go with Drai's, and the rest has been history. And it's been truly the best decision in my life. So
What was that role? Like, what do you go in at, and then how do you move up through that? Is it just, once again, sort of like knowing and putting people together?
Yeah. So my first role was a junior host over at Drai's in Las Vegas. Pretty much like bottom of the barrel, the guys that like start off. And it's all about booking tables. I've never seen this in my life, people like spending tens, hundreds of $1,000s in a night on bottle service. I mean, that was just insane to me. And some of like the best guys in Vegas booking, $5-10 million a year just in bottles. I mean, like, holy shit, if you can sell bottles, you can really sell anything else. And how you move up through it is, it's truly hard work and dedication and passion for what you do. Although the life is extremely, everybody wants that life. You could say, like, if you ask anybody if they just wanted to drink and hang out with superstars and beautiful women all night and get paid for it, everybody would want to do it, of course. But the amount of people, sadly enough, that I've seen fail, for every person that made it, you have 1,000 that completely failed, and stories that you'll never hear.
Well, I think that's one of those things that's the perfect example of, all of that. If you're made for it, all of that can be a blast. But if you don't approach it with that business mindset all along the way, you aren't going to make it.
Absolutely. And that's something I've realized is in my life is, chasing the money is never the right thing. Like, if you're going into something and you're just chasing money, you'll fail eventually. Because like, you have to just love what you do. Like, you have to believe in what you do. Like, you have to be okay with not making anything, but just knowing that, like, I can wake up every day and do this, and I'll be happy doing it. Happiness. There we go. I've been a huge advocate for happiness, before money. So it's
Man, I love it. So tell us where you ended up at Drai's. You still there, but at the top of the game. What does that look like?
So we've been closed since March. I'm technically no longer a part of the company, but these guys are like family. And I'm hoping and assuming that, should we reopen, I'll be back in my position. Well, depending on, how life goes and everything. But I worked my way up to becoming, the sales manager for the venue, the VIP service manager. I had managed just what I call just sharks, like guys that are just about their shit, like really, like, and to be able to like work with people like that has taught me a lot. It's because they themselves are amazing in their own rights, but yeah, look, so how I just moved up is just sheer amount of hard work and just booking, and then just doing everything every day, not sleeping, and just loving and living the life. So
man, there was one thing that I remember that you did, and it's back to exactly what you do in your agency, and that approach you were telling us earlier about understanding who your end customer was. So my good friend Donovan introduced me to a brand, I think it's out of Vegas, Indochino, with the suits, the custom suits. And I remember seeing a couple of posts where you went in and said, guys, if we are going to sell at this level, we need to be able to dress just as well. You're selling $4 million, $5 million a year in bottle service to people that are crazy enough or rich enough to waste this amount of money on overpriced alcohol. Tell us about how you actually added that in. Just the concept of being able to dress the part. That was one. That's a Will Shea Kopera move, man.
I've always been a huge believer that your first impressions are everything. You know, how a person portrays you when they very first meet you in the first 3 to 10 seconds is pretty much how they're going to portray you. And if you do the wrong impression, it takes way longer to change that. So yeah, I mean, since I was very young, I was always in suits. You know, I was always trying to wear the best suits and have suits that fit and that look good on me. How Indochino worked out, actually, it's a very funny story. Actually, this guy that runs Indochino, his name is Ali Habib. He's one of my really good friends now. I met him in Vancouver. I was blessed enough to be sent by Drais to go open the Drais in Vancouver, and that was a great experience in itself. I love Canada, and I loved everything that we were doing over there. And one night there was this guy at the bar, and I shook his hand, and he ended up becoming he's the guy that runs Indochino, and we became friends. Man. And we ended up doing stuff together, and next thing the host team at Drais were all by Indochino, suits by Indochino.
Man,
so it's and he's doing great. I mean, the company I see is doing fantastic. So.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, they're incredible. My friend got addicted to them. He found them online and was like, "Bro, I saw this suits, and they make custom suits, and they send you the things, and you get measured." And so they actually, because he'd been such a loyal customer, they sent him a gift for his wedding, and then gave him like a huge discount on his tuxedo for the wedding. So he had them make a custom white tuxedo for him.
Amazing.
But yeah, great company, great brand. We'll get them to sponsor this episode. We'll talk about Ali, man.
Definitely.
Well, yeah, man. So tell us a little bit about your ideal client in the agency that you were looking for. Who is that type of business owner that you would love to work with, that you can help?
Someone who believes in their product, I think, is the most important thing. I've already had a couple of people approach me with a couple of things that they're trying to sell and everything, and I respectfully declined because, in my opinion, if the client is just looking on selling his product just to make money, that's probably not a customer that I'm looking for. The customer that I'm looking for is a person that believes in this product, that says, look, I believe in this wholeheartedly because I made this, or I found this, or whatever it is, and this is my baby. Because at the end of the day, my job is to make the whole world see what your baby is. If it's a shit product, the whole world's going to see it's a shit product.
Yeah.
If it's a great product, and on the other hand, the whole world is going to see it's a great product. So, I think working with people that believe in what they're selling is my ideal customer. No matter who they are.
Man.
Yeah. So what's working right now to get in front of those folks?
So I've been blessed that in my last couple of years I've managed to shake a lot of hands, and I've managed to retain a lot of these people and stay in contact with them. Like, for example, back at Drais, for example, my top customers, I would know exactly where they like to stay, what food they like to eat, where they like to drink, what to literally to the T in what room they like, which table they like, etc. When their daughter's birthday is, would call them and, hey, look, this is William. I'm not calling about anything, just wishing Lucy a happy birthday today. And I think that those actions throughout all of these years have given me a head start, I would say, in this company, because now I'm able to see who's needing the help. So
yeah, and that's huge, and that's not anything to take lightly. That's something that Jonathan and I have made a life around in our individual lives, in our business, in our all of that stuff is that connection, but that purposeful connection. And those are the nuggets. See, I know that's what Jonathan's been trying to pull out with painting that picture at Drai's and what that looks like, because sure, you have a title and you're managing people and all that, but you get there because of what you just described of not just, oh yeah, people and meet them. I know what you're keeping back right now is exactly what you let out a little bit, is knowing them inside and out. And when you can do that, and when you can do that quickly with somebody and over time, that's huge. That's massive for any business. I don't care what you're doing. If you can leverage that kind of skill, then you dominate.
I think I agree. And I think it's all about just coming back to the fact that, like, you know, it's just about, you know, like loving people and like really like trying to understand them, you know. And there's something I found in nightlife that's something quite beautiful is, you know, having a drink with someone, you know, that would be like normally, you know, the person that you wouldn't be able to meet, you know, on a day-to-day basis or whatever, but having a drink with someone, letting them open up and truly actually listening to them, not thinking like, oh, hey, I'm going to get this guy to buy another bottle, or like, let's see how I can make money from this guy later, try to take him to the strip club. And like, no, like, listen, you know, if he's telling you that like something happened to him last year, like, because he trusts you and he wants to tell you a story, like, you should be grateful that like he's even given you the opportunity to like get to know him like that, for example, you know. And that's, you know, that's been, that's definitely, I think, that, you know.
And that skill set comes in. So there's the intention, right, to really want to listen and understand that person. The skill set comes in that they feel heard and listened to on the end when you're in, exactly. And that's just as critical, because you can say 2 words to somebody in an hour-long conversation, and if they felt listened to and heard, they'll walk away like William's greatest conversationalist I've ever been around, right? And I'm sure right. In your role back there, you've experienced that a lot. You're just like, I was just there and present and remembered, and that's everything.
Absolutely, I agree.
Man, that's just, I mean, but that summarizes the Will that I know. the same Will. We had this conversation in Marbella, bro. You know it. There is something that is in your genes and your makeup and your heart and your purpose that has called you to just help people, but do so from the heart. You know, you worked and succeeded in a very difficult industry, because a lot of the people that are going out to celebrate are really not, they're not really celebrating. You got a lot of broken people. You got a lot of things happening in nightlife that are coming from people that are in pain, and you have always been the light in that dark room. I mean, the lights are literally out. So, but you know exactly what I'm saying, man. When people see you, when they see your smile, the way you accept them and listen to them and engage with them has allowed you to build real relationships, which then takes that into business. So it's anything you do, anything you touch has that same approach, and those people trust you and are willing to give you business. And so we're excited to see your business grow, because that's what we know. You know, we know that's how you're doing that. And so what does that look like in 5 years? Will's got the biggest, most purpose-driven marketing agency in the world, man. In the world.
I appreciate that.
So, man, just to thank you again as we wrap up. Anyone that we can send you right now, anything you need help with, let us know. Tell us.
No, just keep being you, man. Like, you guys just keep being you. I think that this is a blessing that, you know, I got to meet you, Jonathan, in my lifetime, and we got to stay really good friends. So yeah, man, just, you know, likewise, I'm here for you no matter what you need.
Awesome. We appreciate that. How can folks find you and get in touch if they want to?
So my company name is Love Mars Media. Exactly what it is, at Love Mars Media. I was originally going to be Mars Media, but I just, I wanted to bring out the millennial thing and add the love. It's love is extremely important to me. I think this year especially, has made me realize that probably the two most important things, in life is, well, maybe the three most important things is, well, number one, happiness, and number two is definitely introspection and like understanding yourself. So yeah, I would say those two things, just happiness and introspection. So yeah, Love Mars Media, at Love Mars Media on Instagram.
I love it, man. Will, thank you again. We are so excited and proud of you. So yeah, man, thank you again. If you ever want to come back on the show, we'll gladly have you.
I would love to. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, man.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Thanks for listening. You've learned what's working on the front lines of business. Now it's time to get to work. Apply to the Strategy and Action group on Facebook to learn more and for a chance to connect with the guests on this show. Join us next time for Strategy and Action.